On today's show,
there was a time when they opened slightly, but they had some malfunctions with them, and I think that just caused more problems than it was worth. They didn't open all the way. They kind of like tilted to the side and let a little bit of air in. But that was also before we had air conditioning in this gym. There's stained glass windows and big chandeliers in the library. There's chandeliers in a big, huge fireplace in the cafeteria. It's just they put so much thought into building this building when they made it so many years ago.
Getting back on the horse again for another episode of Kansas Sports Chatter. It's a statewide high school sports entertainment show streaming on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. My name is Cole Reif, and coming off a weekend of Monster Jam. Attended my first ever Monster Jam event. Really cool event. Our youngest kid turned 6, and it's kind of an extended birthday present, and to go do something fun. And attended the event in Wichita, and like I said, really cool. I think everybody enjoyed it, but like you go to these things and like I'm a guy, like it's big trucks. They're doing flips. They're racing around. They're popping wheelies, doing flips. Cool. Sign me up. Let's go. But like never like really that into it. Even our kids, like, they of course had monster trucks that they played with, when they're younger, and have a couple books and, so they know what it is, but nothing over the top. But hey, let's go check things out. And we get there, and like you're immediately like reminded that you're entering like a world, like, and this happens in different realms too, but you're entering like a world of like where other people are much more obsessed about something than you are, like going to it. And that was it, because like you get there and like there's like people, first of all, it's just kind of like going to a sporting event, right? Like they're decked out in their favorite driver and their favorite monster truck, like, like Gravedigger t-shirts. And then they got like slippers that have like El Toro Loco, like slippers on, and they got their like fuzzy hats on, and like the kids are coming in with like their stuffed animals or like their stuffed monster trucks. And, they got their real monster trucks that they want to get signed and stuff like that. It's just like a different world. And you're kind of like, wow, I'm not on that level, but the intensity was there, and a very cool event. Highly recommended. If you haven't ever gone to a Monster Jam event, make sure you check it out. All right, so we have some of that intensity right now for today's show, because you look at the lineup. We're going to hear from Jeremiah Jones and Ben Cook of Yates Center High School, part of the basketball team, for our leadoff question. Brent Maycock with Keisha Covered, one of the staff writers, will share a really inspiring story that he wrote earlier this year. Great stuff, Brent Maycock. Dan Morrow, head coach of Olathe South boys basketball team, will be with us on the show. Robbie Sanders, head coach of Topeka High basketball, will give us a great tour of one of the coolest gyms in the state, in my opinion, at Topeka High. Toto and Oz, they're back on the show, the two hosts of the Sunflower Smack Show, talking girls basketball in the States. And then Quincey Kidd, a member of the Seward County Community College men's basketball team and originally from Washburn Rural High School, will be our next level talents at the end of the show. All right, here is our leadoff question with the Yates Center boys. It is today's leadoff question with Jeremiah Jones, a member of the Yates Center basketball team. Jeremiah, the question: who's the best player that you have faced in your high school career so far?
The best player I've faced so far is probably Wyatt Griffin of Chase County. We played Chase County and beat him multiple times throughout the summer league when Griffin wasn't playing. And then he faced us in the last year's sub-state, and they got the better of us then.
What stood out about him? Like, what made him so good?
He's a tough person to like box out and defend. He's really tall and athletic, and that helps him out.
Any specific highlights or moments in that game that you remember?
Yeah, he just kind of knocked down a couple shots down the stretch that kind of pulled him away right at the end of that game.
What's it like? Like, it's even the scouting report, like when you're facing an opponent like that has that individual talent.
Just you got to stay in front of them. You got to get the best game you possibly have. You got to give them the best you get whenever you're going against someone that good.
Do you enjoy those types of challenges, against that type of competition?
Oh yeah, it's always good to play against the best. To be the best, you got to beat the best, and it's always a fun challenge and to get better.
That is Jeremiah Jones with Yates Center basketball with our leadoff question. Now with Ben Cook with Yates Center basketball. What stands out about for you, like getting ready for a game? Like what type of stuff, like what preparation do you do to make sure you're ready for a ball game?
Just got to lock in the locker room.
What are practices like at this time of the year for you guys?
We practice hard because we know we have Sub-State right around the corner, trying to make a run in playoffs.
What improvements have you guys made throughout the year and kind of getting ready for some of those big-time opponents?
Well, we've definitely started rebounding more. At the beginning of the year, that was a struggle. We started pushing the pace more in games instead of just sitting back in our offensives. We're getting out and running the floor.
Any specific things that you guys do in practice to help you out in that?
Yeah, we run a couple of drills to get up and down the floor.
That is Ben Cook with Yates Center basketball. Failed to ask either one of those two if they like Monster Jam. Big thanks to Jeremiah Jones and also Ben Cook joining us here on today's show with a leadoff question out of Yates Center. Our sponsors, it is Wheatland Electric. Let them help you survey, install, and finance a new backup home generator. Make life without power a thing of the past. Barton Community College, affordable tuition, flexible classes. Sign up at bartonccc.edu. Eastus Media, they help businesses and individuals turn ideas into reality. And the voice, the Pratt Greenbacks. Meyers Enterprises, schedule a free consultation with Meyers Enterprises for all your advertising needs. And SPX, specialized video wall solutions. Whether you're sharing a sermon, broadcasting a game, they have the big LED video walls that you need for your facility. A break in the action. On the other side, we'll hear from Brent Maycock. Keisha Covered, staff writer, is on the show next.
Power outages don't wait for a convenient time, and neither should you. Right now is the perfect season to invest in a standby generator from Wheatland Electric Cooperative. With low monthly payments and special financing for co-op members, reliable backup power is more affordable than you think. We'll help you survey, install, and finance a Generac standby generator, all with professional installation you can trust. Protect your home, your comfort, and your peace of mind before the next storm hits. Get a free quote today and make life without power a thing of the past. Visit us online or call us to get started today.
Referees and game officials are a vital part of high school athletics. These men and women take time out of their lives to ensure a safe and fair environment for student athletes. As you attend sporting events this year, keep in mind the hard work and dedication of the officials. Respecting officials and authority figures is one of the most valuable lessons that we can teach our students. The Kansas State High School Activities Association and the Student Advisory Team would like to thank all those who take the time to officiate our competitions.
Continuing on here on Kansas Sports Chatter, it's time to check in with one of the staff writers for Keisha Covered, Brent Maycock, joining us now. And excellent story you wrote earlier in January, Brent. People can go to KSHSAA.com to check out the story. Karsten Briner, I mean, a phenomenal story. I'll let you kind of introduce it and how you came about it and just the details that you revealed from it.
Yeah, so at the start of the year, we send out basketball questionnaires to all the coaches across the state to get their information for their teams. It's kind of like their media guide. And when the Wabaunsee coach Tim Klein sent his back, he said, "Hey, we've got this interesting story. I've got a kid who is going to be playing for us this year. He's a senior, and he has a prosthetic. He had a car accident in June, and he's going to try to play basketball for us this year." And so I kind of kept that on my eye on that. And I was like, at some point this is going to make for an interesting story. And so I kind of waited a little bit, once basketball season got going and Coach Klein kept me updated on, okay, he played a couple minutes the other night. He got in here, he came off the bench. And so I kind of had my target set. Like I said, in my last one, I was recovering from knee surgery myself. And so I knew I was going to get back for for the Flint Hills tournament week for midseason tournament week, and I thought I'm going to go down there and I'm going to see this kid. And I'll do a story on him. And I got down there. I was expecting maybe he'd warm up with the team and he'd be out there late in the game if they were way ahead. So I wanted to catch an early game in the tournament. Well, I go out there and I get the chance to actually talk with him before the tournament game started. I got there early and they got there early, and so had a chance to sit down and talk with him. And what a remarkable story. Yeah, he had a really bad car accident on June 20th where he fell asleep on his way to work early in the morning and woke up in time to basically see his car smash into a guardrail. And when the guardrail kind of went through the car and severed his foot, basically right at the heel, just took off all of his left foot. And he said he stayed awake through this whole thing. He was attentive, didn't black out or anything. Somebody happened to be right behind him, came up, knocked on the window, said, "I've called 911." And he's talking to the 911 call and said, "We have a possible amputation here." And so he ends up having to kind of make a decision. You could maybe leave the heel and have a prosthetic attached to that and really not be very mobile, or you can amputate the leg about mid shin and then put on a prosthetic and maybe get back to doing, being mobile and doing some activity. And that's a big decision for a 17-year-old kid to make. And obviously his family, his parents were there to make the decision with him. But, he's like, I want to play basketball. I want to maybe try to play football this year. And that just, wow, that goes through your mind. Unbelievable that he's even thinking about that. And so he opted to have the second and have the leg amputated about mid shin and got fitted for a prosthetic. And his determination was, I'm going to get back to playing sports this year. And lo and behold, he made it back. He actually got into a football game, that Wabaunsie's last football game of the year, on October 31st. He played nose guard. So that's 4 months after the accident happens. He's back on the football field, not just in their token. He played about a third of the snaps in the game. I talked to one of his teammates. He said, "Yeah, we're having trouble stopping their fullback all night. He comes in first play, gets a tackle for loss on the kid." And it's like, just blows your mind. And then, he got back into playing basketball. And like I said, I was expecting to maybe catch him in some garbage time minutes. No, he started the game and played almost the entire first quarter, came out the last maybe the last minute or so to get some extra breath or whatever going in the second quarter, came right back out, played the second quarter. And it's just amazing that someone had that kind of determination and grit and want to, and whatever you want to say, everything that any kind of superlative adjective that you want to say, he wanted to make sure his senior basketball season was going to happen, and he did. It's just phenomenal.
Did he touch on what it was like trying to reinvent that, just kind of figuring out how to walk and let alone run again? Like, what's his mobility like?
Yeah, he said he really had to relearn a lot of things, relearn how to run, because there is mobility there, but there's certain things he kind of had to relearn to do. You can't really pivot as much, or,
Sure.
you kind of cut this way or do that. So he really had to go through a lot of PT. He said he really pushed himself and had the physical therapist really work him hard. I believe it was supposed to be an 8-week program, and he got done in 6 weeks or 5 weeks, I believe it was. So, he really pushed himself in physical therapy to try to get back. And then it was, I got to relearn how to do post moves. I got to relearn how to try to cut, or how to do this and that. And so, yeah, it was a pretty extensive process. But, when I talked to Coach Klein, he said, if there was a kid that could take that situation and make the best of it, that Carson Briner was the kid that was going to do that. Coach Klein actually coached Carson's dad when he was Wabaunsie's head coach first time around, and now he's back for a second stint. And so, he knew from having coached his dad that, this was a family that prides itself on working hard. They have a ranch out there where they live, and so hard work and being outside and doing things tough, doing the hard stuff is just kind of a part of their life. And so, that's what Carson said. I mean, he had his grandfather, while on the day of his surgery of his amputation, had his grandfather call Coach Klein and say, "I'm going to be back playing basketball for you this year." And so, it's just amazing that that's going through his head, that, hey, not only am I going to deal with having this prosthetic, but I'm not going to let it hold me back. I'm not going to let it hold me down or limit what I can do. I'm going to decide what I can do with my abilities. And and here he is, and he's doing it. And, now he's averaging about 16 minutes per game. His stats aren't great, but, just the fact that he's out there,
Yeah.
what an inspiration to his teammates, to the community, to anybody that has a disability. It's something that hey, you get dealt a setback. What do you do with it? And Carson Briner is a shining example that you can take something that's not a good situation and really come out on the other side of it in a great spot.
Really great story. Well written at KSHSAA.com. Brent, appreciate the time.
Absolutely. Thanks, Cole.
That's Brent Maycock, one of the staff writers for KSHSAA Covered. SPX Specialized Video Wall Solutions. Your gym needs SPX. Welcome back on the show of Kansas Sports Chatter as we bring in our next guest, as it'll be Dan Morrow, the head coach of the Olathe South boys basketball team. Coach, appreciate you coming on the show. Man, you're playing some good ball right now. Like, what has stood out about this year's team, that especially during this stretch of basketball?
I knew going into this year it was going to be kind of a growing year for us. We lost 6 seniors last year, all 6 in our rotation. So we had one returning starter and then a couple guys that got some spot minutes last year. So I knew from a varsity playing experience standpoint, we were going to have some struggles. And it's been kind of a different season for me and our team. Just, we started the year really well in the Blue Valley Shootout. I think we started a little bit better than I thought we would, and I think our team kind of thought we would. And then we kind of hit a wall there right after Christmas break. Like most teams, the whole flu thing and sickness and all that kind of stuff kind of hit us, and we had to kind of play some different guys, and we traveled up to Omaha for a couple games. They added the 3 games, so I scheduled a couple teams up in Omaha. We went up there and got drilled and got humbled, which I think now, looking back, at the time it was pretty frustrating for myself as well as the guys. But I think we learned a lot about ourselves taking that trip up there. And now we're kind of into the meat of our schedule with the Sunflower League, which, if you're familiar with the Sunflower League, there's no nights off. It's a dogfight every night, and we're kind of figuring some things out. We're 15, 16 games in now. So, we've kind of hit our stride. We've got kind of our rotations down. So, we've kind of grown like I thought we would. But yeah, it's been a fun year. This is a great group of kids. And they're playing hard and we're competing. So that, most nights we give ourselves a chance to win a ball game.
You mentioned kind of a different year for you from the start of it with, maybe some, I guess, less experience. Like, how much does that, dictate on what you do, especially at the beginning of the year, as far as how much you want to implement when you have guys that are in new roles?
Yeah. Obviously experience is huge in basketball, especially when you're playing, teams like Rockhurst. We played them in the Blue Valley Shootout. They're really good. Lost by 1 point. Then we turned around the next night and played Blue Valley High, who's a really good team. You're trying to figure those things out kind of as you go, and you lean on, like I said, I have one returning starter, Jackson Chai, who's had a really good year. He's taken on kind of a leadership role for us, and then you're just kind of trying to figure out what guys show up when the lights are on a Friday night, and I think we're starting to kind of settle into those roles. But our team looks a lot different than it did last year. Last year we had, a Sunflower League all first team all conference player, Nick Anderson, who's playing college ball now at Loyola Chicago, and he dominated a lot of what we did offensively. And we don't have that caliber of player this year, but we're definitely more balanced. These guys really share the ball well. It's we've got a couple guys that are averaging double figures, but we're very balanced as far as scoring goes. I think they're really starting to buy into the defensive end of things. We've got some size. And we're balanced defensively too. So, yeah, I mean, it's been different than last year, like I said, with the experience and not a very senior heavy team. We've got 4 seniors. One just came back this week from an injury from football, so he's just getting kind of back into it.
Nice.
And we've started some different lineups, and we've just been trying to figure things out. So our junior class is our dominant class. They get the majority of the minutes. But our senior class has been really good for us too.
Had a handful of really close games kind of sprinkled throughout your season. Like, what have you learned in those experiences, just in those tight games this year?
Yeah, I think it gives our guys, kind of that experience of being in a crunch time situation, dealing with some adversity. Some of those games we've been down. Well, like even last night, for example, we played Lawrence Free State, who doesn't have a great record, but they're a team that has some pieces, and they could beat anybody on any night. And we talk about those things with our guys. If they get hot from outside and we're not shooting it well, we could get beat by any team in the Sunflower League. And we were down 1 at halftime. Made a few adjustments and played a much better second half and a really good fourth quarter to kind of get that win. But yeah, you learn as you go. And again, with an inexperienced team, being in those close games, hopefully as we go into these last couple of weeks of the season, and it gives these guys confidence that, if you get down 6-8 points, you still have a chance, to come back and win a game. And it is difficult, when you get down 10, 12, 14 points against a good team, especially late in the game, it's really challenging. But if you can keep that thing within, 4 to 8 points, the way we shoot the 3 ball this year, we've been shooting it really well. We're never out of a game if it's an 8 to 10 point game, with 4 minutes to go. So that's kind of always our goal. We want to be within reach with 4 minutes to play. And we pulled a couple close ones out down the stretch for sure this year, which, again, hopefully gives our guys some confidence.
Talk with Dan Morrow, head coach of the Olathe South, the boys basketball team. You mentioned that outside shooting. Like, how much of your offense is structured to get an outside shot, or is it just kind of flow within the offense itself?
Yeah, I mean, we run a lot of actions to get our guards some looks. But a lot of our stuff is just in our motion, our flow offense. Our guys do a good job of finding each other, whether it be in transition or just in the half court with our motion stuff that we run. We've got some solid bigs that set good screens, and they rebound really well. So, we know we're going to shoot anywhere from 15 to 25 threes a game. And right now we're shooting it at a pretty high percentage as a team, and as long as the right guys are shooting the right shots and we're giving up a good one for a great one, that's kind of our philosophy, and we're gonna let it rip from downtown, and then hopefully, those ones we missed, we can steal a few possessions by getting some offensive rebounds and give us some second opportunities. So, yeah, I mean, a lot of our offense is guard heavy offense for sure, with our scoring, and our guys, like I said, we shoot it pretty well, and they're pretty confident if they've got a good look.
So has basketball always been in your blood? Like, is that something like you just grew up with? Was that always your go-to sport?
Yeah, growing up in Nebraska, in a small town, I played everything. I started gravitating towards basketball more as I got into high school, just because I enjoyed playing it a lot. but I also enjoyed all sports. And then I was fortunate enough to get an opportunity to play at the next level. I went to Nebraska, Omaha, played college ball there for 4 years. And
That's Dan Morrow, head coach of the Olathe South boys basketball team. We'll have more of the show after this. Here's a hard truth. If your business isn't using AI in its marketing, you've already fallen behind. But there's an advertising agency in Kansas that can get you back up to speed. That agency's name is Meyers Enterprises Media Research. The name sounds dry because the company's run by engineers, not salespeople. They use superior research and analytics that drive results with surgical precision. Marketing doesn't have to be a gritty battle in the trenches. Your business can win from the box. Visit their website, mediaresearch.agency, to learn more. Welcome back on the show. It is time for, a stadium tour. Earlier this fall, we started launching stadium tours where we would get broadcasters or media folks that would give us kind of a tour of the press box and the football facilities across the state to different high schools. And we're going to get one now during the winter as we get to take a look at one of the high school gyms in the state, and it's going to be Topeka High. And to help us out with the tour is going to be Topeka High boys basketball coach Robbie Sanders. Hey, Coach, appreciate your time. For you as a player, from Topeka High, just how special is this gym for you?
Man, this is the best gym in the world to me. You know, fortunately, I've been able to play all over the country, but this place is just really, really special to me.
Well, before we get going, your first year as head coach there at Topeka, how's it gone, and just being able to coach at your alma mater?
It's a surreal feeling. You know, I never envisioned this happening for me. While I was playing, I started my coaching journey a long time ago, and I hoped that I would work myself up to this point. But just to be here and be able to lead this program, it's a special feeling.
All right, we'll go ahead and start with the tour. If you want to flip your camera, Coach, and we'll get going here. But known as the Dungeon, has it always just been known as the Dungeon?
It's always been known as the Dungeon.
Yeah. So, what's special about this place?
It's just so big, and just the history and the people that have played in this gym. You can see banners up here all the way from 1929, state championships from 1932 in basketball. It's just like standing on the shoulders of the people that walked in front of you, and it's just for year after year after year. There's been so many great people and great players to play in this gym and walk through these hallways.
So those windows always, every time I see the pictures of Topeka High, those windows right there on the end zone always stand out. So are they blacked out? Like, have they always been like that?
Yes, there was a time when they opened slightly, but they had some malfunctions with them, and I think that just caused more problems than it was worth. They didn't open all the way; they kind of like tilted to the side and let a little bit of air in. But that was also before we had air conditioning in this gym, so I think they just shut them off or just make it look cool.
Yeah, it definitely looks cool. So, like, you talk about like the style. Like, is the rest of Topeka High School like kind of a Gothic architecture?
Yes, it's a very, very, very special building. I mean, there's stained glass windows and big chandeliers in the library. There's chandeliers in a big, huge fireplace in the cafeteria. It's just they put so much thought into building this building when they made it so many years ago.
You talk about the top of the bleachers on that long end, like are like shadows. Like, what are the shadows like there, just like sitting up top?
It's I've actually sat up there a few times. That's where I like to sit when I was a kid and I came to watch the games. And it's just a really cool vantage point. I mean, you don't get the courtside seating like you can in these lower rows that we can pull out, but it's a really cool view up there. And there are some extra lights that can come on so it won't be so dark during game days.
You mentioned those rows right here, the first three rows. Like, what are those special seatings to be on the lower level?
It's just a kind of like a tiered seating approach. We charge, I believe it's $9 to sit down low, and I think it's $6 to sit up top. So if you want to get a little bit closer to the action, you can pay a few extra dollars and get a little, I guess you call it a premium experience. In the past, these on the bench side of it, those pulled out too. But we've a lot of the chairs have gotten broken, and then we bought a new video display thing where the scores table would be. So we don't use these side of the courtside city anymore. We just put chairs down here, and we got a nice little video board thing. So it's kind of updated the game day experience.
Yeah. So where does the student section and band go?
This band is right up there. Am I pointing the right way?
Yep, you're good.
Yep, band is up here in the corner, and the student section is right here in front of me. The students sit right below the S.
Nice. So concessions, like where do people come in? Like where are the concessions in the concourse area?
Oh, okay. I'll walk you up there. So it's a cool, because you can enter. The home fans really don't have to mingle too much with the visiting fans. So I'm walking out of the home entrance, and then so you will walk in these doors right here.
Nice.
And of course we got Topeka High Brandon and
wow. It kind of has a feeling of a Cameron Indoor Stadium. I mean, I'm a Duke fan, but it kind of has that feeling.
It does. Well, we can't really see where the concessions is, but they would be inside this door right here.
Okay. Nice.
So they open these two doors, and the concession stand is in this area. And then we have and you can access the hallways, and we got our weight room right here, girls' locker room.
Cool.
And then we just walk back down this hallway to the gym.
So for you as a player, what was the loudest game that you can remember in that gym?
What'd you say, sir?
Well, as a player for you, Coach, like what was the loudest game that you can remember in that gym?
The loudest game I played in this gym was 1996 versus Topeka West. They had several good players at Topeka West. A couple guys went to Washburn. One of their players played D1. And the Topeka High, Topeka West rivalry is way before my time. It's been going on so long. It was just packed. The fire marshal was here. He stopped people from coming in the building, and it was probably 4,500 people in this gym that night.
Well, now fast forward as a coach, what's it like just coaching on that court?
It's special. That first home game against Wamego, I was unsure, what type of crowd we would draw, but the community really, really came out to support us. It reminded me of some of the old school crowds that we used to have, and I think the kids played well that first game because of the support we got from the community.
Hey, Coach, I really appreciate your time, and best of luck the rest of the season.
All right. Thanks a lot, man.
That is Robbie Sanders, head coach of the Topeka High basketball team, with our stadium tour of Topeka High. Are you looking for a new way to promote your business or organization? Do you want to get your message out to a statewide audience that loves high school sports in both urban and rural areas? Kansas Sports Chatter has advertising opportunities from commercials, sponsoring specific guests, product placements, and even a premier sponsorship. Let Kansas Sports Chatter promote your brand. Contact ksportschatter@gmail.com for more advertising details. That's ksportschatter@gmail.com. Come join the chatter. It is that time of the show to talk some girls basketball, and to help us out, it'll be the fellows from the Sunflower Smack Show, Toto and the Oz. And man, you can check out their show, their podcast. It comes out on a consistent basis. Again, guys, where do people need to go if they want to listen to those podcasts? What's the easiest way?
Well, we have a channel on SoundCloud, and we have a channel on Spotify for Sunflower Smack, or we always put a link out on X, and we have one out on Instagram as well. So, and Facebook. So,
all right. So when you're not recording podcasts and doing your full-time job, I feel like you guys are always in a gym. Like you guys are going to a bunch of games, especially in the Kansas City area. Like how many games per week are you guys attending?
Oh, I mean, 4 or 5 or 6. It just kind of depends on the week. We had one week where during tournament week, we figured out we drove about 650 miles and saw 13 or 14 games in 2 days.
Wow.
So, yeah, or 3 days. Sorry, 3 days.
Yeah. Well,
That's
and I think the other part of that is we end up watching a fair amount of games, going back on NFHS or one of the YouTube channels of the teams. Just you hear about a game, and you kind of want you want to see a game, how it ended or something, or see some players. So, yep.
All right, so you definitely have the knowledge here. So that leads me into the start out question here. So, like right at this time of the year, as we're getting close to the postseason, boys, like who has stood out to you? Some of them, like I think we expected. Any surprises that have stood out to you so far on the season?
Go
ahead, Nas.
No, you got it, bud.
I was going to say one team that sticks out to me as a surprise. Not that they're by any surprise, this may sound weird, but Blue Valley North, they lost pretty much everybody from a team that, won the state championship last year. Brought in a freshman, Harper Winter, who's every bit as good as advertised, and a lot of players that were kind of role players on the state championship team last year, and they've played, really well. That was a team that kind of surprised me. I didn't think they would be this strong as far as wins and losses go. But again, I knew they'd be a good team, but I didn't think it'd be quite to where they are this year in a tough league.
Oz, anybody for you?
Well, that's a good one. I would agree with that on the Blue Valley North. There's a few teams that surprised me haven't done as well as I thought. I will say though, from like beginning to now, and I know how they had some injuries earlier, but Topeka's really turned things around. Early on they were fighting just to get to 500. They're still going to finish with I think 7 or 8 losses or something like that, maybe a little bit more, but they're a team that will challenge some people when we get to the sub-states, and they're playing their best basketball or starting to play that way right now. So somebody I've seen certainly a lot of improvement in over the year.
You look at some of those dominant teams that maybe the ones that we expected a little bit more, like what has made them so good? Any certain teams that you're just like, wow, like they got the pieces in line?
I think a team like, you look at the top of at least over on the east side of 6A, Shine Mission South, Olathe South, those are two teams that are going to have a say in the finals at some point in time. They're going to have a chance to win it, both of them. And, they're 8 to 9 people deep. And with, I think I saw one night, I was watching a game with a team that Olathe South was playing, who has a winning record and will probably finish in the top half of the east side. And I would bet there were 8 girls on Olathe South's team that would start overall, but maybe 1 girl on that team. And that just kind of tells you the level of talent, their depth. And anybody that knows them very well knows that there's a whole bunch more coming. Next year gets real bright for them too. So there's more to come.
And I would add that I think the teams at the top, one of the key things is how they've incorporated their really strong freshmen. I mean, Shawnee Mission South has 2 really good freshmen on their team, and Riley Kramer and Amaya Carter, and those 2, how the coaches have incorporated them. I mentioned Blue Valley North with Harper, and then you look even at Olathe South has brought in, and they had Eve Long obviously come and go, but they've been able to bring some nice young players in, and even down to Olathe North, they're pretty young. So
yeah, for sure.
Have you seen like most of the really good teams, like you said, are they more of a balanced team like that, like bringing in the youngsters, or have you seen some of those teams that are maybe more upperclassmen heavy?
I think if you look at Shawnee Mission South, it's completely balanced. They could have any of their top 8 girls score double digits every night. I think I saw a stat line on them the other night. Now, it was against an opponent that they were much stronger than, but I don't think they scored like 80 something points as a team, and nobody scored over 13.
Wow.
So that kind of tells you how spread out it was, or nobody scored over 12, I think, even in that game. So their ability to score with multiple people makes a difference. Olathe South's a different animal. I mean, you've got somebody like Eve Long. I mean, she's averaging, Toto would be able to tell you
32.
32 a game. I mean, that's more than some teams are averaging right now. So to add in, like I said, the depth that they have and the size and the guards and the shooting and the defense, I mean, it's coming from different ways, certainly when it comes to scoring versus balance.
So many great finishes, I feel like, this year. I mean, every time I bring up one of my feeds, I'm seeing, like, these great game ends and that are just amazing. Like, for you, Toto, like, any games that have stood out that you've watched, especially the ones that you've watched in person, that have just been amazing?
I probably think honestly, probably one of the most exciting games I went to this year was probably Olathe West and Olathe North. Those two teams, I feel like they battle each other every year. Whether it be in the Sunflower League or for a regional championship, the two of them just kind of always have good battles. And Olathe West came in, I think maybe at the time was earlier in the season, they had a win or two, and Olathe North was rolling. And if you've been to Olathe North's gym, it's really loud and raucous. And Olathe West came in and won. And so I think that's probably one of the most entertaining games I've been to this year, and just the rivalry and the crowd and all that together.
All right, well, I won't ask you guys to pick a state champion in 4A, 5A, and 6A. I won't put you on the spot for this show, but we'll go at least with some of your favorites that you feel pretty good about. They're going to have a really strong chance of maybe winning a state title here in a couple weeks.
What's tough about it is, I mean, legitimately, and I won't go in. I don't want to not name somebody. I guess is the way I want it. I don't want to make it sound like I'm picking on somebody, but I mean, there's legitimately, well, I think there's 3 or 4 teams that are probably a level above the rest. Maybe that's only 2 or 3, to be honest with you. But then there's another 6 to 8 teams that have a legit shot at, making some noise and getting through. So, that's 11 or 12 people I just called out, and there's only 8 of them that get to the sub-state, final, and then only 4 that get to the deal. I think Shawnee Mission South and Olathe South are the 2 toughest teams in the state. Wichita Heights is undefeated. They certainly deserve a lot of credit for what they've done, and they're a really good team. I've seen these 2 teams play 4 or 5 times, and it's hard to think that there's anybody that's going to surprise them.
What about you, Toto?
I'm going to take Olathe South or Shawnee Mission South. I think those 2 teams are the best 2 teams. Wichita Heights is undefeated and have beat some really good teams. I just think that one of these 2 are on this side are a little bit better. I think I'll drop down to the other classes. I think 5A, I think it's going to be somebody from over on the west side. Hayes, Andover, one of those teams are so good. I mean, Aquinas always proves us wrong, and I think 4A, I think you're going to see Wellington coming from the other side, from the west side, and then that east side of 4A could be anybody, but I think it'll be fun to watch. We saw Meyers get beat by, Blue Valley Southwest last night at home. So,
hey guys, appreciate the insight once again. Like, when you guys show up to the gym, like, do you guys have like special reserved seats, like you're there in the Kansas City area?
There's a couple of coaches that don't like us to be there because we're jinxes.
That is true. And I will tell you, if they ever want to get us reserved seats, I'd love for them to have some cushions on the wood benches, because that just does not work for me.
You mean you don't bring like your own like seat back?
Oh, I even do that occasionally.
Okay.
Yeah, but I'm old enough. I don't really want to come in looking like I'm 100 years old, dragging in a iced tea from Quick Trip and my extra seat and a little cushion and an extra jacket to warm up if the gym's cold. I got enough things going that don't go in my favorite hole. I don't want to add too much.
You're just well prepared for any type of situation. Yeah,
that's right.
Hey guys, appreciate it.
You bet. Cole, thank you. Appreciate all you do.
That is Toto and the Oz from the Sunflower Smack Show joining us here on Kansas Sports Chatter.
Whether it's a Friday night football game or a Saturday Scholars Bowl tournament, there are many people behind the scenes to make these activities function. The Kansas State High School Activities Association and the Student Advisory Team would like to thank all those who make these events happen for our students. Without school administrators, event workers, custodians, officials, transportation personnel, and office staff, these events would not be possible. Your hard work and dedication allow students throughout the state to participate in the activities that they love.
Welcome back on the show. It is time for our next level talent segment, an opportunity to talk to former high school athletes from Kansas that are now competing at a college or university in the state of Kansas. And we are joined by Quincey Kidd. He is a member of the Seward County Community College men's basketball team at a Washburn Rural High School. Quincey, appreciate you coming on the show. For you, like, how much fun are you just having at Seward County this year?
Man, I'm having a lot of fun. We've been having a pretty good season, and I was here even this summer and got to know our new coaches and stuff. And I've been blessed to be in this situation, and I love the new environment they've created here for us for sure.
You mentioned the new coaching staff. What's Austin Downing like? What's it like being coached by him this year?
Man, like everybody knows, he's young, and like he brings a lot of energy, and he brought a whole different culture, of hard work and doing all the right things on and off the court. As we've seen, has led to us having some success this season, and it's allowed me to learn a lot about myself and what type of player I want to be, continuing on with my college basketball career.
As a college athlete, like you mentioned, like staying there in Liberal over the summer, like what do you try to work on during the summer? What's your schedule like during the summertime?
So we had me and not only me, just a couple of guys down here this summer, and we would have skill workouts. We do a team practice or so every day. We lift, and for me this summer, I really just wanted to work on becoming more consistent with my jumper and getting a little stronger in the weight room. And our assistant coach Marquise McCray, he allows us to get in the weight room, and he has really good program for us. Yeah, I feel like I grew a lot this summer, so it was a really good summer for me down here.
So you mentioned like working on your jump shot. I mean, obviously like repetitions are nice, just trying to get as many shots as possible. Like, have you tried to like tweak anything with your actual jump shot?
Recently, no. My dad actually always preached to me, good form and, just always starting off close to the rim and mastering the fundamentals. So I feel like I have a pretty good hold on those. So for me, it was just, being able to shoot while I'm tired, being able to shoot off different actions and movements within our offense. And, just like I said, becoming more consistent, throughout the game so I can, just have better play and more consistency in my jumper.
What went into your recruitment process in choosing Seward County coming out of high school?
So I actually first went to Dodge City Community College, and I came to Seward the year after that because I thought it was just a better opportunity to me. One of my trainers from back home had to connect with one of the coaches, and I came, worked out down here, and they liked they thought I brought as a person and as a player to the program. So I was here the year before Austin came, and I talked with him after that, and he also liked what he thought I could bring to the team, as a person and as a player. So, and I really liked his energy, and we know a lot of the same people. So, I thought it would be a great situation for me, and, I feel like I made a great decision. So.
What was the redshirt year like for you? Like, how did you use that year and just trying to get better?
It was really good. When I redshirted, obviously, I put my head down and put in a lot of unseen hard work in the weight room and, different things, just getting working anytime I can. And I feel like people look down on redshirting sometimes, but I really feel like redshirting can be the biggest blessing to you, as a college athlete. It doesn't mean you're not good enough, you're not ready. It just gives you more time to work, and more time to work means more time to get better. So, you can never have enough of that.
Yeah, it's worked out well for you, putting up nice numbers. So, I mean, you go back to Washburn Rural, like your high school career. What do you remember about high school, and what was it like just competing for Washburn Rural?
So in high school, I had a really good time. My freshman year, I got to, travel with the varsity team and stuff, and they made it to the national tournament, and that just really, or the state championship, my bad. And it just really, like, made me see my vision of what I wanted to do and the things I wanted to be, and just put a winning culture, in front of my face to learn and grow. And I feel like I said, I had a coach who also coached college basketball for years. So I feel like I was well prepared coming into college. And I also had a good time with a lot of good people and good teammates, and we had a good camaraderie. So it was a good high school experience for me playing basketball for sure at Washburn.
What was the competition like just in the Topeka area? Because I mean, I always hear, like we've brought in like athletes from, the Wichita area and the Kansas City area. What was it like just playing basketball in the Topeka area with so many schools?
So Topeka, I feel like Topeka basketball is a really slept on area in Kansas. There's a lot of talented hoopers, and like a lot of my friends and stuff, have had very successful college careers and are still having successful college careers. And I feel like it was good. There's different parts of the city that bring different types of basketball. So while it's all in one city, you get a little bit of, all the types of the game, and it's really good, a good situation to be in basketball wise for me. I feel like.
Any games that stand out, especially there in the city, like any games that stand out in your high school career?
Oh yeah, for sure. I always had a great time playing at Topeka High. They have a pretty like known gym. It's real nice in there, just packed and loud. And our rivals personally for Washburn were Hayden High School, so those games were always packed and loud. And I really love those high pressure environments and things like that. Those are the most fun games, and that's why you live to play those games like that. So those are always great games.
All right, last question for you. You're in Liberal now here at Seward County, so I mean it's named Pancake Town. Do you enjoy pancakes?
I have a pancake here and there, and they actually I do like when we celebrate Pancake Day. We get off schools and get a day to relax, and obviously we still work out and have practice and stuff. But pancakes are big here, and I don't mind a pancake every once in a while for sure.
All right, fair enough. Hey, Quincey, appreciate your time and best of luck the rest of the season.
For sure. I appreciate you. Have a good one.
That is Quincey Kidd, a member of the Seward County Community College men's basketball team and at a Washburn Rule for our next level talents. Are you a person that's always on the go? You can still easily keep up with Kansas Sports Chatter with the audio podcast. Hear each episode on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. Make sure to follow the Kansas Sports Chatter podcast. The sun sets on another episode of Kansas Sports Chatter. Hopefully you enjoyed it. You can find all the past shows and videos by going to the YouTube channel. Subscribe there to Kansas Sports Chatter. Episodes every Tuesday and Thursday. We'll talk to you again soon.